The form is pretty damn good at the moment. So let's see what this best of 5 will bring us. In the top right side, we look in the main base of the German Protoss, Mr. Mauer himself. It is ShoWTimE.
And his opponent in the bottom left, the red Terran player representing Team Liquid with that uThermal. Kevin, I'm going to make a really crazy wild bet here and say that you probably have not watched any anime.
I watched, well, Dragon Ball Z is an anime, no?
Yeah, it's close, yeah.
But I also watched Death Note many years ago. That's
oh, okay. That's definitely you probably, did you have to watch it with subtitles?
Well, yes, I don't speak Japanese.
Oh, then you're good. Okay, yeah. Well, if you weren't watching a dubbed version, then you probably had a real experience. That's awesome. I did not expect that. I wouldn't have expected that. I haven't even seen Death Note, to be honest with you.
It's very good, actually. I mean, I don't really like those kinds of shows. I mean, I've watched a couple other ones that people recommended, but none of it really caught my interest. But Death Note was actually kind of cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. There's something out there for everybody in whatever genre or media type that it is. ShoWTimE doing a little bit of probe scouting, a little probe harassing, poking, prodding, but nothing crazy happening just yet. I was gonna say, I guess this is the time, right? Everybody's got a lot of time. If you want to try something new, there's never been a better opportunity as far as shows go.
Yep, even some of the old ones. Now, in case you guys missed it, obviously not everybody follows StarCraft all the time or watches every broadcast. We mentioned uThermal having a little bit of a shaky performance so far in this tournament. The reason is he's been dealing with some injuries. I believe it's his elbow that has really been bothering him. He's not able to practice as much as he normally would like to, and overall he just feels like it kind of hinders him in his performance. And that obviously has a lot to do with my 3-0 prediction as well. Like, if this was a uThermal who I believe could go all out, is on top of his game, I think we'd be in for one hell of a series. On the other end, Nate, if he can win that game 5 yesterday against Stefano, then perhaps he can cause another miracle upset today.
Yeah, it's I think this match is very interesting because despite everything that we've talked about leading up to it, I still feel like it is really wide open. You know, it's never easy to play when you're not feeling comfortable, like for uThermal, and it's hard to kind of pinpoint what exactly the best moves that you can make about that type of injury are, right? Like, is it something ergonomic that you can kind of put a band-aid on for a little bit before, you know, maybe something more serious step needs to be taken? Or is it something that's going to be just really constantly nagging you to the point where, you know, it starts to affect you mentally, right? Because you're thinking about it too much, outside of just, you know, the physical pain part of it. So it's hard, but this is one of those things, man, where, you know, this brave territory of competitive video games and all that, and a lot of these players have been at it for much longer than other folks. And I think that it's worth saying, hey, man, this game's been around. People have been competing for 10 years. You know, people are going to find out you don't got your right posture and all that sort of stuff. There's a lot of things that can be pretty rough for you, and you gotta take care of yourself, man. That's why I always walk around like a clown with my wristbands on, because one of the few things that helps me with my pain from playing a lot of StarCraft over the years.
The only thing that I ever had a lot of pain in, Nate, is my heart when I died to Queens again. That's the only issues that I've ever had. But other than that, I am a blessed man, and I've been playing this game for 10 years. So it's all good.
Yeah. Well, now you know the real reason why I don't like to build Marines anymore, Kevin, because for every Marine is about an hour of the day when I'm done playing that my arm feels like crap.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about the build so far. Obviously, uThermal opened up with Hellions, but this was not the proper Hellion commitment. It's just a single Reaper into a single Hellion, and the majority of the focus here is obviously on the Cloak Banshees. Now, ShoWTimE is going to get a good scout with his hallucinated Phoenix. If those Marines were just a little bit to the right, they could have potentially prevented that scout. And that scout is big. You see the tech lab spinning, you see it attached to the starport, so you know there is a very good chance that Cloak Banshees are heading your way. And that obviously means that ShoWTimE shouldn't take too much damage from those.
Yeah, it's a good scout to be able to get. And as that Banshee does move out, I mean, we kind of talk about it, but you want to pin your opponent back a little bit. However, if you get like 1 shield battery per base, like you don't always have to do that because like obviously the stalkers can cover 1. Maybe you just put a shield battery on the natural or the third. But at the end of the day, if you're not investing into multiple banshees, they really only have like, you know, so much that they can actually accomplish. These stalkers poking this move out though. So uThermal wants to make a push to the third base. The stalkers want to poke that, but leading with the tank unsieged has 7 range. So it has a little bit more range than those stalkers. And that means that if they don't have all their shields regenerated, they're going to take some pretty heavy damage if they stand there for too long.
I love this build because this is a triple command center build as well. ShoWTimE is going to try to buy as much time as he can with his stalkers, but the double cloak Banshee is about to strike in the natural. uThermal, elbow injuries or not, still has a couple of very gnarly Terran builds up his sleeve. The tanks are going to siege up as well, and they get a couple of big shots up. Nate, I like this start for uThermal.
Yeah, I think the most important thing, Charge is only halfway done. He's got a couple of extra gateways finishing, but he's going to have time to get these bunkers. And just look at the way that this choke point works, right? This, usually you think to yourself, oh yeah, great for defense, but he's got these Banshees ravaging the probes in the natural. And having the 2 Banshees to shoot at the same time means that the shield battery is going to be very limited in its ability to deal with those. Now, he does blink everything on top right before the bunkers finish, and it seems that uThermal kind of gets caught out here, but he's still done a tremendous amount of economic damage despite the fact that, yes, his army got wiped.
His army got wiped, but I feel that at this point, ShoWTimE was like, you know what? I just killed a bunch of tanks. I love the fact that those Banshees are still alive there for uThermal because that's going to force a couple of units to stay at home. ShoWTimE's economy is in shambles. He's sitting on a lot of Chrono Boost energy as well, and his main Nexi was clearly kind of pushed to the limit there, and he's going to try to strike Nate before STIM is done. Now that bunker isn't up yet. Can we get a nice little timing here with Zealots in charge and a Guardian Shield? I like to think the answer is yes. I mean, there is a scan though. He knows about it, Nate. Can you throw him a hold?
Well, the bunker is not yet ready. I think the fact that the prism is there definitely complicates things a bit because with the charge as well, the reinforcing zealots can be super painful. That mine shark gets dragged onto the bio. Unfortunately, ShoWTimE with the counter says, get out of my game. And yeah, I mean, talk about economic damage. It still doesn't make it any easier to grab that third base if you don't actually kill the Protoss army, I think is the one consideration. Yeah, you can kill as many probes as you want, but when your opponent's got an army like that, you can't just, you can't just walk away from it.
I'm happy to see some killer instinct coming out of ShoWTimE though, because I feel like in the past it was often always all about defending, and it's like, okay, I defended, I took a lot of damage. Well, I'm just gonna try to rebuild those probes and take the game from there. I don't think that would have been the correct call. I think he just took a little too much damage. The Banshees are still around as well. They can potentially get a few more probe kills later. He's like, no, I know how this works. You're throwing away that many Marines, the tanks as well, while going up to 3 command centers, and you have double cloak Banshee. If I survive this, I'm gonna go for it, because I don't think you have an answer to my Zealots with charge. And that turned out to be correct. I think an excellent read by ShoWTimE, and honestly a pretty good hold as well, because did you see those bunkers? They were like 99% done. I believe that Nathanius would say it just had the wrapping paper on.
Yes, that's all he had to do was just, it's like when you get a new phone or a new piece of technology, and all you got to do is just peel that, and it's such a nice feeling when you peel that plastic off a brand new phone, and then it's like, nope, you could never get it off for those bunkers, and because of that, everything died outside of them. It's a shame.
Yep, I think if those 8 Marines get in the bunker there, I still think ShoWTimE cleans it up, don't get me wrong, but then he ends up losing a few more units. It takes a little bit longer, and that means that his counterattack hits a lot later, and then I do believe that STIM would have been done, or at least that defensive bunker would have been up for uThermal. So honestly, pretty exciting game 1, even though it didn't last very long. It had a couple of very close moments for either side, but in the end, ShoWTimE does take the 1-0 lead.
Yeah, did a very good job. StarCraft is a game of seconds, Kevin. A few more seconds and those bunkers are done. A few more seconds and the bunker at the third to defend himself is done. But can he bounce back? Had a sharp attack, but couldn't hold the counter. In the northeast, the Red Terran player, he is uThermal.
I feel like you just set me up for a joke, Nate. StarCraft 2 ain't the only thing that's a matter of seconds. In the bottom left side of Everdream, we're looking in the main base of the German Protoss, Mr. Mauer himself. It is ShoWTimE.
You know me, Kevin. I've always got some other strategy game on my mind.
How excited are you for football to start tonight, Nate? I feel like every time I watch you cast these days, you're talking about pick six, Hail Mary plays. Like, I feel like Instantaneous is on his way to become the next Madden.
I'm working on it, Kevin. I'm working on it because, you know, the thing is, I've had literally nothing else to look forward to pretty much the entire year now, right? We've just kind of been stuck inside, right? All that jazz. So I'm happy to have that to be excited about. And I just want to share that excitement with everybody because let's face it, you've all got a lot of spare time too. And as much as I love StarCraft, there are a lot of great things in the world that are awesome to check out. And of those things, football has a very special place in my heart.
I mean, I love it, and I think a lot of the Europeans will be somewhat familiar with the Hail Mary plays and stuff like that. But I think when you start talking about pick six and interference or interception, rather, it's like, well, Nate, I feel like you've just lost a decent amount of the viewer base.
That's okay. That's okay because the Europeans watching right now are the most dedicated, passionate StarCraft fans because it's almost midnight, and the rest of everybody else are Americans waiting like me. So. We'll just have to let that be where it is. But this proxy, this fake proxy, right? Oh, it kind of comes right out from that angle. He might assume that it was built over there, a little bit of like what Masa style. I'm just gonna hide it in my own base.
Wait, what do you think this is going to be? Could this be? How wild is this going to be? Could this be a Thor rush?
I mean, with the tech lab, like. I don't think building one Cyclone at a time in that weird spot is going to do much. It kind of has to be. What else could it be but a Cyclone?
I know, but okay, I'm obviously familiar with like, okay, let's scare the Protoss and proxy our barracks, but why are we proxying the factory as well just to make a Cyclone? I am honestly almost never a fan of these kinds of builds because I feel like what you're hoping for is the Protoss to go in like ultra panic mode and be like, oh no, I guess I'll stay on one base, but when is the last time you've ever seen a Protoss player be like, you know what, I'll stay on one base against whatever Terrans may throw at me? I feel like that just doesn't happen.
No, I completely agree. I don't know if his strategy here was to try and bait him into building like 7 shield batteries or something outside of his natural. Like, oh my God, he's gonna proxy everything, but he's not even getting mag field. Okay, he's building a tank now. Yeah, okay, well, it's gonna get a siege tank, I guess. Bring it home, just defend, right?
Grab a Zealot in the center. I mean, this is actually a bit scary if you're ShoWTimE. You make a random Zealot. Oh my goodness, it lives somehow. And then you see a Cyclone. Like, obviously, we know that there is nothing too crazy happening. ShoWTimE might still be a little bit concerned about the proxy starport, the proxy factory, and who knows how many Marines are heading into his natural, right? So, yeah, you can see ShoWTimE being a bit indecisive there as well. Thought about taking 2 gases. He's like, no. Until I know what's going on, we'll just take a single assimilator. Like, all of this is scary. The thing is, it's not leading up too much.
No, it really isn't. At the end of the day, it was meant to be like a fake out, right? He's just gonna put all his defenses in front of the natural. I'm never a fan of exposed tech like that, just because it's scary. In a weird situation, if those stalkers go kill that factory, like that's it. You're in some pretty deep crap. There's a couple of things you need that for. This isn't Wings of Liberty, but he's gonna get a Prism in a Robo base. Are we getting Disruptor drop or something?
Yeah, maybe a Disruptor or drop as an opener or a Colossus just to harass and I think keep track of the army. I think that ShoWTimE is aware of what's happening. uThermal, his macro, is not bad. But he's not building any SCVs the majority of the time. I know there's 1 on the way right now, sometimes 0. uThermal has done these builds in the past, Nate, where he basically cuts SCV production quite frequently just to get a lot of units out very quickly and then hit a pretty devastating, well, I don't even want to call it a timing because it's just an all-in, right, with Marine Tank. But I think that ShoWTimE is familiar with these builds. He's seen uThermal do those a couple of times. I think back of TSL, where uThermal had notable builds like that, used it against Zest a couple of times, I believe. I don't think this is going to work. ShoWTimE is actually just going to harass a little bit here with his Stalkers, but I think he will take a look at this, and I think ShoWTimE knows exactly what is going to happen in this game.
Yeah, he does not want to walk into that. Of course, he can kind of do a little bit of dodging, ducking, dipping, and diving with those Stalkers and the Prism, but they don't really have the burst damage to take down like the Stim tech lab, although if you were able to get that, that would be awesome. He's going to be poking at the tank. One of them gets very low.
One sit.
Okay. SCVs have managed to make their way to that bad boy. That would have been terrifying. This is a terrifying push though, Kevin.
Yeah, but look at Look at how ready ShoWTimE is. He's already posturing his army forward. He can drop a couple force fields. He's got shield batteries to fall back
Three
to.
batteries.
The only thing I'm worried about for ShoWTimE is that he only has 3 gateways. He's gonna fight this out so far. I mean, I kind of like it as long as he doesn't overstay his welcome. Look at the War Prism in the center of the map, picking up reinforcements still. That is an awesome move by Dean Mauer.
Beautiful. I was gonna try to compliment the factory position and say that it is technically gonna get him out to the middle of the map a little bit faster. But we have 2 Colossi now. Extended Thermal Lance is about to finish, which means the Marines can't be that close up front. But the tanks are going to start to shave away at those shield batteries. Man, what a weird game this is right now, though, because the reinforcements are all getting eaten up. But this is still a really big siege play. And if these bunkers finish, I mean, and it becomes quite difficult to dislodge.
Yeah, but I think ShoWTimE eventually can step forward and take a fight with an overcharged battery. No, I don't know if we're going to have overcharge here already or not. The Stalkers are coming in from the top side as well. That is beautiful by ShoWTimE. And the majority of the tanks have cleaned up, Nate. I think this is a very successful hold for Mr. Mao.
Yeah, this was a pretty dominant performance by ShoWTimE in this game. And with that, he will take the second map in this best of 5. Very, very clean hold there, to say the least. Not too much else to add there. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to a break. When we return, game number 3 between ShoWTimE and uThermal. We'll see you there. that time again, ladies and gentlemen. We are back with the DreamHack Masters Fall. I'm Nathaniel, joined by Rotterdam, and we are currently sitting with a 2-0 lead in favor of the German Protoss ShoWTimE. uThermal will need to win 3 games in a row to bring himself back in this. Can he do what Hero Marine just pulled off? Kevin, I don't know, man. It's not looking all that good.
It ain't looking all that good, and I have to admit I'm not really feeling it, and I'm not sure if uThermal is feeling that either. I did love his start in game 1. I love this strategy, and I actually thought he was pretty close to winning game 1, where maybe if those bunkers finish up or his defensive bunker finishes up. But the build he put out in game 2, I think those builds are awesome when they're brand new, but this man has seen uThermal play many TVPs over the last few months, so he was obviously aware of it, and an excellent read and a beautiful response. In the top right side, he's up 2-0. The German Protoss, Mr. Mauer himself. It is ShoWTimE.
And his opponent in the bottom left, trying to bring things back. The Red Terran player, he is uThermal. Yeah. Tough match. Been a tough match so far for uThermal. Tried a few things. Things looked good multiple times, but hasn't been able to really hit the mark, I think, on the execution point that he needs, which has been absolutely brutal, because ShoWTimE, I think, as we like to say, you know, D Mauer, he is very good at holding those attacks. He's been very consistent, very strong player at dealing with all sorts of aggression, at getting those bases together, at keeping himself afloat. Yeah, and uThermal just has not been able to find a crack in the armor that he can exploit.
Nope, and I think a lot of the builds that uThermal likes in this matchup, like, he's kind of showed them a couple of times already, and the first few times you have like a weird build hitting you like that, where there is like an expand, and he is producing SCVs, but he's not producing SCVs non-stop. Like, those builds can hit incredibly hard, and it could be very difficult for ShoWTimE to figure out, like, what the hell am I actually dealing with here? Is this a macro game? Why does he have so many units? What is happening? But we've seen it before. And ShoWTimE, I believe, is a player with very good memory as well, and I don't think he's going to trip over those kinds of builds multiple times. What do you make of this opening of uThermal here in game 3? He went reactor before any unit out of that barracks.
I think he just feels like the Reaper wouldn't be able to do anything on this map. Like, right? In my mind, that's the reason why these builds even exist. Like, you can do a lot of other stuff out of them. Like, you can still do a mine drop, you can still do a banshee, but I think the big focus for this type of build is just having that setup.
I'm very worried, because I have the feeling that uThermal wants to go for a Hellion drop out of a proxy starport, but I also have the feeling that the Stalker could potentially scout it, and if the Stalker does scout that starport before it's done, well, that would be a disaster. I feel like uThermal could almost leave at that point. Obviously, he shouldn't, but I mean, he's down 0-2. Nothing is really going his way. Good news is the Stalker didn't go to the right. Bad news is these Marines are now in an awkward position. Stalkers have more range than Marines, and these Marines, Nate, are in trouble. Huh? Okay, maybe they're not. I love that.
Well, that's a power move if I've ever seen one. You come at me, bro.
Now he's in trouble again.
You know, it's the Stalker that says, "From the shadows I come," but the Marines seem to be the ones shrouded in darkness right now.
The good news here for uThermal is that he's keeping eye on these Stalkers, and the Stalkers are not spotting his starport. ShoWTimE waited until his shields would regenerate, and he's now going to be able to pick off all 4 Marines without losing a Stalker, of course. Wait, did that probe see it? Oh, that probe is getting awfully close towards the starport, but still hasn't seen it yet. The Hellions might take out the probe if they drive too far, and they do. Oh, well, even though he didn't see the starport, Nate, I think at this point, ShoWTimE immediately knows what's up. He's gonna put all units in the main base and go for a full wall off. And I don't think uThermal can get much done here, mate.
Yeah, I mean, this is really difficult. He needed this to go unscouted. It was not unscouted. The Hellions are gonna try to still yeet themselves onto the probes at the last second if they can. 2 of them are killed. 3 workers so far. Medevac is gonna be able to make its way to the natural. The Hellions might have a chance. The probes do line up on their way out.
Wow.
And he's going to start to split the Stalkers a little bit, limiting some of that damage. So maybe there's a chance for 1 or 2 good hits here. 8 workers killed so far. Not bad. 10 plus is definitely something uThermal can be happy with.
Yep, 11 workers and a lot of lost mining time as well. Take a look at that natural. What the hell is happening over there? There are no probes at all. That actually went so much better. And oh my goodness, ShoWTimE even accidentally let the battery finish up as well. Wow, Nate, that went 17,000 times better than I expected it to actually go. Because it got scouted, ShoWTimE knew exactly what was happening. What I'm really surprised by is that he didn't prioritize killing the medevac. Like, I understand that you might think like, oh, okay, you know, it's all about the Hellions and the medevac doesn't kill, but the medevac does allow the Hellions to be picked up again, drive into the natural, and it just gives them so much more potential. I feel with that medevac being that low on HP already, I would have loved to see ShoWTimE fire a single volley, take that medevac out, and just make his life a lot easier.
No, I totally agree with you there. It did a lot more damage than I thought it was going to. But as you pointed out, though, the thing is when you shoot at the Hellions, especially with the Stalkers, right, their attack travels a little slowly. So the medevac picks up the Hellion, you can just dodge those shots, and that makes it a lot easier. Now, killing the starport here, I think that's a pretty big win. That's a very nice thing to be able to grab because he was ready to build stuff out of it past that point, right? He built the Raven, which did make its way home. He kills the Observer now, so he's able to get something for it. But yeah, economically speaking, that really is as much as you can ask for. More, of course, is always nice, but I don't think he can be disappointed with the way that the opening played out. But ShoWTimE does still have that fast third Nexus. He does actually have a Dark Shrine as well, so it's not quite as simple now as just go kill him.
uThermal does send 1 Marine to the left side of the map. Did not spot the prism, got pretty close to seeing the prism, but didn't really get it in the end. I feel like these Stalkers, they want to get the kill on the Raven, but I don't think that that's going to happen. uThermal has a very strong defensive setup. It can still get a bit complicated. If a Dark Templar shows up in the natural, Dark Templar shows up in the third, or the Stalkers are there, and then the prism goes into main. Careful with that Raven, uThermal.
Yeah, he sees the third command center land. The Stalkers actually had vision of that. The random Marine dies to a Stalker. And Storm is starting up as charge completes. Scan on the natural will reveal the Dark Shrine, but he has a pretty good detection setup at the moment already. The Raven can't be everywhere at once, but he's going to start to throw down some missile turrets too. So the window for that prism to get anything done is shrinking quickly.
Yep, and the turrets are finishing up. Maybe the turret in the main, though, is not quite done yet. So this 1 Dark Templar in the main base is going to be able to get a couple of SCVs, but this could have gone a whole lot worse. Like you said, that Raven couldn't have possibly been everywhere at the same spot. Wow, baits out the scan, picks up the Dark Templar. Dark Templar in the natural gets out of there as well after, I believe, 1 SCV kill. ShoWTimE is playing some beautiful Stalkers.
That was really nice. That was really smooth too. You know, I feel like that's we've had a lot of scrappy, messy games today, but it is nice to see a little bit of that just very clean execution on that prism, sniping a few workers, getting out without losing anything, and as you said, one of the greatest sources of Terran frustration from Dark Templar, the old scan and then pick them up.
Now we even see an Archon morph as well. Maybe go for some Archon on this. All right, there is one thing, by the way, that's working heavily in favor of uThermal, and those are the upgrades. This Terran Bio Army is already working with 1-1. 2-2 is on the way. On the other end, ShoWTimE doesn't even have a forge, as far as I can say. Nope, there are no forges on the map, but Zealots, Archons, and Storm are pretty good. After Hero beat alive in that ridiculous game on King's Cove at Katowice, I will never underestimate the power of Zealots, Archons, and Storm again. But obviously, Nate, that is a little problematic for ShoWTimE.
Gets a Storm drop on both halves of the mineral line. Only kills 4 SCVs for it, though. So nothing cataclysmic for the Terran player as of yet. But, man, that is a lot of Zealots, Kevin.
It is a lot of Zealots. But if uThermal doesn't move out until he has 2-2, then I don't really care how many Zealots it is, right? Like, shouldn't Bio just absolutely obliterate it? Yeah. Even though Storm is annoying, Storm is dangerous. I kind of like that ShoWTimE is going for it, Nate, because the longer he waits, the worse his army is going to get.
I think especially if you can get a big push before that 2-2 finishes, that's definitely going to raise the odds for him a bit. And almost bad for him that he spots this double menace drop, because it's going to pull his whole army back for it. It's going to kill some of it, but I think you gotta get moving. You gotta get going. Warping a few units at home to try to defend this, but you need to get across the map because the ghosts are gonna be added to this, and that is not going to make things easier at all.
Not at all. 4 ghosts are on the way. 2-2 is close to finishing up, but not quite there just yet.
Oh my
That is
God.
a big, I won't say massive, but let's go with big. It's a pretty big anti-armor missile. These Zealots were already going to be relatively weak. They're even weaker now. The Vikings can maybe try to go for that prism because there weren't too many stalkers, but ShoWTimE is coming in from multiple angles. Instantaneous, here we go. ShoWTimE needs a big victory here.
Yeah, he's got the Zealots splitting up on both bases. A massive storm on the mineral, on the Marines behind the mineral line, though.